Welcome to my journey through the Bible. This will be a summary of 1 Samuel 18, verses 1 through 30. And when Saul had got done talking, Johnathan and David's soul was connected. Johnathan loved David as himself, and Saul had took David to his house that day, that he would no more go unto his father, but live with him in his palace. And Johnathan and David made a covenant. Johnathan had took off his robe and gave it to David. He also gave his garment, his sword, and his bow to him. And David went wherever Saul had sent him, and he behaved very wisely. Saul had made him to be captain over his men of war, and the men accepted David. The people accepted David. Even Saul accepted David. And it came to pass that David came back from a slaughter of the Philistines, and the women in the city began to sing and dance and have joy and play with instruments. And they came near to Saul, and Saul heard the women and the words that they said. And the women sang, Saul has slayed 1,000, but David has slayed 10,000. And Saul was very angry and said, what more can David take except for my kingdom? And from that day, Saul did not take his eyes off of David. And then the next day, Saul had an evil spirit come upon him, and he began to prophesy in the midst of his house. And David grabbed his harp and played it with his hands, just like he had done all the times before. But this time, Saul had a dagger in his hand, and in his mind he thought, I will cast this dagger at David and nail him to the wall. And Saul threw the dagger at David. And David avoided it. Now this happened twice. And then Saul was afraid of David because God was with him and God was no longer with Saul. And Saul made David captain over 1,000 men, and David behaved very wisely. And God, again, was with him. And because David acted so wisely as he came in and out, Saul was afraid of David. And Israel and Judah all loved David because of the way that he behaved. And Saul told David that he would give him his daughter to marry. And David said, who am I? Who is my family in all of Israel that I would be the son-in-law of a king? And when it came time that Saul should have given his daughter to David, he turned around and gave his daughter to another man as his wife. And then, of course, it was told to Saul that his second daughter loved David. And this pleased Saul very well because he felt like his daughter could be a snare in the side of David. And Saul had commanded that his servant go and talk to David and talk to him about marrying his second daughter and becoming his son-in-law. And David said, I am very poor and I have nothing to give. And it is not a very light thing to be the son-in-law of a king. And the servant went back to Saul and told him all that David had said. And Saul said, "Go to David secretly again, and tell him that it is not a diary that I seek, but the foreskins of 100 Philistines, for this will avenge my enemies." And Saul had hoped that David would fall at the hands of the Philistines. And when the servant had told David this, it pleased him very much. And David took men out, and they had killed 200 men of the Philistines. And David brought back the foreskins of the Philistines and told Saul all that had happened, that he would be the king's son-in-law. And Saul did give his daughter to David to marry. And his daughter loved David. Saul was continuously the enemy of David, and the prince of the Philistines had came before David and had behaved very wisely, or wiser more than the servants of Saul. So David's name was very great. May God be with you in everything and in every way.